Right, welcome back to Wednesday Live with Dr. Michael BOADI NYAMEKYE. Before the break, as I said, we took a long break. Thank God we are back again on Wednesday, coming your way every Wednesday. And today, we thank God for giving us the opportunity to come your way. And thank you too for joining us. Just before Papa comes in, we want to encourage you to share the feed. Please put it on your statuses as well. Share it to as many people as you can. And then invite people. Let them be part of this life-changing discussion that's really going to bless you. This time around is going to be very exciting and full of wisdom. Today, we are looking at the subject of capacity building. We're going to talk about capacity, what it means, what it entails, how do we build capacity for our lives in our fields of work. And Dr. Michael is seated to help us do that discussion. So, Papa, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
It's good to have you. Your viewers to have missed you a lot.
Thanks for having me. It's just a beautiful thing to be on Wednesday again. I mean, Wednesday is different. Mm-hmm. It's not the time that you're praying, so it's a time where you share information with people, and what you have acquired experientially, you are able to share. And so I feel it's a very good and important platform that we should explore and not neglect. So yeah, I am happy to be back on Wednesday.
Yeah, and we're also happy. The crew, everyone, especially your viewers. People kept asking, when are we coming back? When are we coming back? And I think, of course, Command Your Morning now is everywhere. People have been enjoying you. They've been seeing you as far as on their screens and, of course, on their social media platforms. But on Wednesday, that's where they've missed you. So, folks, you have Dr. Michael, and it's going to be exciting. Today, as I said earlier, we are looking at capacity building for ourselves, personal capacity that we can build for our businesses and every aspect of our lives. And Papa is here to help us do that. So for starters, Papa, we want to find out what is capacity? Why is it even important for us to build capacity? If I've been to school, I have a certain level of education, I'm comfortable in what I'm doing, is there the need to even build capacity?
Well, whatever you will be is based on your capacity. Whatever you will become. The marriages you can have and keep. See, the world, the problem of the world is that there are a lot of people who think that it's just about acquisition. But life goes, it transcends acquisition. So having, keeping. Capacity to marry a banker is different from the capacity to marry a pastor. It's also different from the capacity to marry a president.
Okay.
Because the demands are different. And with such demands, if you don't have the requisite capacity, you are going to fail.
Okay.
So capacity is everything. Business is capacity.
Right.
Marriage is capacity. Ministry is capacity. So if you are even in ministry and you don't have the capacity, you'll be envious of somebody who has built capacity.
Over a period.
And you'll be thinking, but we are all doing ministry. Why is he doing well and I'm not doing well? It's capacity.
Okay.
Whether you're going to have more money, little money, or no money, it's capacity.
Okay.
Everything is capacity. So we cannot underestimate the importance of capacity.
Okay.
It cannot be even overemphasized.
Wow. You mentioned quickly the parable of Jesus, the sower. That even brings in, and let me just take a little detour. A lot of people, faith-based people, tend to talk about the subject of grace, meaning that, of course, if you see someone doing so well, that means that a certain level of grace, which is probably required for what he's doing, has been given to the person, which in most cases people don't really attribute it to the capacity they have. How is this possible? What's the difference between someone having a certain kind of grace and the capacity that the person would need? Or is it that God deliberately gives certain graces to people to marry, let's say, a banker?
Well, there are people who got married to pastors or bankers or presidents and the marriages failed. So having is not everything.
Okay.
Keeping, maintaining and growing is what matters.
Okay.
I keep saying you can stumble on wealth. It won't make you wealthy. You can stumble on wealth. You can, even a fool can have money. Even a fool can break through. But staying there is what matters. That's where capacity comes in.
Okay.
So just as you're saying, maybe grace can open a door. Capacity will keep you in the door.
Wow, that's very deep.
So you can have the grace for strong men, strong people, great people to come into your life. Without the capacity to keep the strong men, the strong people, the great people, they will all leave you, because most of the things are capacity driven, they are capacity related.
Okay.
So there is, of course, grace happens to be the motherboard for a lot of things that people within the Christian fraternity hang on to. Okay. Oh, everything is by grace. Everything is by grace. But there are people who say that they had some things by grace and they lost it. So did they also lose it by grace? So you can have by grace and lose for lack of capacity.
So grace can open a door, but you need capacity to really.
Of course. Maybe the grace of God can make you a president, but your capacity to perform will keep you as a president.
Wow.
The grace of God can make you a preacher, but your capacity will make you preach to kings.
Wow. But,
so capacity.
Okay, Papa, can you help us quickly? Then a difference between, let's say, potential. Someone may have a certain potential. You could see that this person is fit for this. And over a period, would that person need to build capacity for it? Is there a difference between the potential and capacity?
Well, capacity is what you have built. Potential is futuristic, something that you think, when you see that somebody has a potential to be great, maybe he's showing, say a footballer is showing the skills, the attitude on the field for greatness.
Okay.
But he needs more determination, consistency. He needs to listen to instructions. He needs to do a lot of things for him to be able to realize that potential. So potential is futuristic. You build capacity to activate the potential you have. So you can have the potential of becoming the president because you look like a leader. You speak like a leader. You sound like a leader. You have the presence of a leader. But you need to build the capacity of a leader. Because the leader does not only speak, he does. He works. He talks and he walks the talks. So he's a doer. Okay, not only a talker. So you build capacity. Capacity will help you reach the fullness of your potential. So it is more of saying that potential is what you have conceived. And normally what you have conceived is concealed until you bring forth. Conception, incubation, gestation are always followed by the manifestation of a concealed potential life.
I'm sure that one went really too quickly. If you can, so that I mean, there are people. Lots of.
I'm saying conception, incubation, gestation. They are always followed by the manifestation of the concealed potential life. So, whatever you have in you, called the potential, is concealed until there is delivery of that potential. Yeah, a lot of people died with potential.
Yeah, true.
They died with it.
True.
So potential it's something that you have the qualities to become. But you need more. So I can look at you and say that you will be a great preacher. When you sleep, you won't be a great preacher. You have to master the book that you want to preach from and understand the historicity of the text. You have to understand the parameters within which some of the contests were used, and all of that. You have to be able to understand and break the word. All right, rightly dividing the word of truth. Then we can say that, okay, he's built the capacity to match the potential that we saw he had. So there are people who have potential, but they will never see the end of it because they don't build capacity to walk in the fullness of the potential they have.
Wow, that's great, folks. It's getting heated here. We are hearing deep things. I still quickly want to encourage you to please share the feed, invite many people to be part of this. I mean, it's going to be life-changing. We're talking about capacity building, and as you heard Papa explain, it is that concealed potential in you can only be manifested when you build capacity for it. So Papa, quickly, then I want to find out then what stops people from building capacity, especially in the context of our environment. For example, I mean, I remember you sharing a story to us when you were young. You used to play football and all that. You knew a lot of great footballers, players who, of course, you said that could, play very well, much better than the ones that we see. What usually cuts these great potentials off, and what stops them from building capacity?
Well, first of all, there is no way you will build capacity for what you don't anticipate. So the first thing that people should know is that anticipation is crucial. Anticipation is key. Anticipation happens to be almost everything. You have to know where you're going. Capacity building should be geared towards a goal. Okay? I want to be a footballer. What capacity do I build to be a footballer? Probably my passing skills, my dribbling skills, my work ethics on the field, tackling, whether I slide tackle, all the duels. How to go in and how to. So in doing all of that, I am building capacity for my professional footballing career that I am anticipating. What I mean is that without a vision in sight, without a goal in sight, there will be no commensurate capacity built together. So if your sight is limited, your capacity building too will be limited.
Your sight,
where you see yourself going. Where you see yourself going. If you know that you are going to Kumasi from Accra, you will not buy fuel of 20 cedis.
Of course, yeah.
Because you know that it can take you there. You might fill your tank. But if you are moving from Legon to Hacho, or Legon to 37,
yes, right,
you can do that.
Okay.
What I mean is, where you are going will determine what the accoutrements you will need. So if you don't have a lot of arsenals in your artillery, it will be because you don't know where you're going. So first of all, people should know where they want to go. Because capacity building is about where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? That is how you can build capacity to be able to get there. That's how. Okay, so I want to build up muscles. I want to look like this man. I want to look like this woman.
Yeah.
I want to have a flat tummy. That is my goal.
Your goal.
Now, if that is your goal, what am I going to do to get there? So the sit-ups I'm doing to get a flat stomach is giving me the capacity to really have that.
Okay.
So in doing that, I'm building capacity to shrink my stomach.
Okay.
It's the same thing. Until you have a goal in sight, until you know where exactly you want to get to, your capacity, you think you are building, but if you want to be the greatest preacher of all time, that's what you want to become. And you study your Bible once a week, you cannot become that.
That's right. Okay.
Because you have to be able to train thousands of hours to master a book.
That's right.
Or an art or a craft.
That's right.
To master.
To master it.
So they will tell you that even to get anywhere above pro, you have to train for like 5,000 hours.
Okay. In a sport?
In sports.
Okay.
Now I'll bring the same thing to anything you want to do.
Okay. For example, let's say business.
Oh, business, of course. If you want to build capacity for business, let's be more specific. Like what kind of business? Let me use that. What business?
Especially something that is quite common with Ghana, like in Ghana, most people, workers will still want to have a side business that they want to grow. Let's say I want to have a trading company, but let's say a sales outlet.
For what?
For clothes.
Clothing. And you want to build capacity for that.
Yeah.
Building capacity for a retail outlet will probably be only financial capacity.
Okay.
Because if they are major brands, they have their own names that people look out for.
Okay.
So it will be rather your financial capacity to bring in the goods for resale.
Okay.
Now, if you want to do manufacturing, it's different.
Okay.
Then you have to learn the skill of cutting and sewing.
That's right.
And making sure that the edges are nice and tidy, and all of that. That is another skill in going into clothing, the clothing industry.
Okay.
But if it's just an outlet to sell, you rather build financial capacity.
How about something like that's more like a craft, something like you have to do physically? There's someone who wants to be, let's say, a boxer. What are some of the capacities they can build?
Of course, first of all, which kind of boxer do you want to be? Again, we have the Clays, we have the Muhammad Ali's. In Ghana, you have the Azuma Nelsons, you have the Ike Cortes, you have the Joshua Clotes, you have Evander Holyfield. They are all different kinds of boxers.
Okay.
We have boxers that will throw jabs and jump around. We have boxers that will come close like Mike Tyson, pound for pound. So which kind of boxer? And now that's where I'm coming from. You have to have a goal in sight that helps you build the capacity for it. Okay? So if you want to do pound for pound, if you want to do, let loose your hands, let the person punch you as hard as they can and punch them. So if that is what you want to do, you build tougher skins and muscles.
Okay.
If you have long hands, you can stay far and throw your punches.
Okay.
Now, if you are short and you are fighting somebody who is tall, you can't stay apart.
That's right.
You have to get closer. If I get so close that he would rather be uncomfortable throwing a jab because his hands are too long. So what I mean is that if you know which kind you want to be.
Okay.
So this whole capacity thing is not something we're going to exhaust today.
That's right.
We are going to do case by case.
That's right.
All right? But your ability, the maximum amount that you can contain or produce is what capacity is.
Okay.
So let's say people, Christians, who are praying for a barrel-sized blessing with a cup-sized capacity, it's impossible.
That's right.
So if you want a barrel-sized blessing, enlarge your coast.
Okay.
Expand your territories. Have a bigger vessel. Stop wasting time in prayer, holding your cup and asking God to bring you a barrel-sized blessing. Because you have no room to contain.
Okay.
That's what capacity, that's what I'm saying, the maximum amount you can contain or produce. So we say that, the plant is producing at full capacity. Okay. That's the maximum amount it can do. Okay. 10,000 is the maximum capacity it can produce per day. Okay. Or this barrel can receive 10,000 liters. Okay. That's the maximum capacity it can contain or produce. And the relevance of life is capacity driven. It's about what you can contain and what you can give or produce. So whether it is marriage, it's business, it's ministry, it's always what you can take in and what you can give out. Okay. Every time.
Well, then I also want to quickly find out that since you are talking about as how much you can contain or produce. Of course, we are all not equal. Then at what point do you really measure and say that, okay, I'm actually operating at my full capacity as a human being, since we are all different?
Well, I think I will say this before I even continue. Normally, when you hit the fullness of your potential or capacity, more or less, you know that you have no room for expansion.
You would know.
Oh, you will know. It's almost like saying, how will you know you are full when you are eating?
Okay.
We all have different stomach sizes.
Okay.
Somebody might need 10 balls of, and I had a friend in school who could do easily 10 balls of kinky, easily, without getting up at the go. I mean, those times the kinkies were not modestly or moderately made like now. I mean, it was, the kinkies were well endowed. But he could do 10 comfortably.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
At a sitting?
At a sitting, at a go. And maybe I can do one.
Okay.
But when we all sit to eat, I will not be able to say that because he is doing 10, let me do 10, because my cup, I can't contain that anymore. Or he should also say that, oh, my friend did one. And because my friend did one, let me stop doing my 10 and do one. He will die from starvation because our capacities are different.
Okay.
So the more space you have within your capacity vote, the more hunger and desire you will have.
Okay. Then, but how then do we reconcile that with, let's say, a mediocre mind? Someone who, of course,
a mediocre mind won't have more capacity. That's the level of their capacity. If you want to break their mediocrity, you have to enlarge their capacity.
Because he would probably be thinking that I can only do for, let's say, achieve to a certain amount.
Exactly. So that's their capacity. So they can't go beyond that.
Okay.
If they want to get beyond that, if you want to push them, hold them by the collar and drag them out of mediocrity, you have to rather help them build capacity for more.
Okay.
Because you are going to expose them to a realm they can't contain and it will kill them.
Okay.
Exposure to anything is more killing than non-exposure.
Wow.
If you expose somebody who is not prepared for the cold to get into winter, the person will die from pneumonia. The same thing if you expose somebody who is not exposed to heat, the person might die from dehydration. It's the same thing if you expose somebody who is not exposed to a certain level of life. To that level, it will kill the person. So exposure is not, oh, you need exposure. You need the right exposure and incremental exposure. And I keep saying this, you need education before exposure. Because exposure in itself will bring you education, but be educated before the exposure, so that when you get the exposure, it will increase your education. Then your knowledge therefore will become experiential knowledge based on the theoretical framework that you were given.
Wow. Getting deeper and deeper. It's getting hotter. Forgive me. And very, very deep now. We want to take a break, but just before we do that, Papa, maybe you can also help us through a little light on this one. But I'm still trying to reconcile. We talk about visions a lot. The person has a vision because you earlier on you said the first stage will be to set your goals where you want to get to, which, if I'm not mistaken, is more or less like a vision that a person has to build capacity. Is there would that be the vehicle that will help you build a capacity, or a person's vision may be big, but the desire to build a capacity may not be there? Is that possible?
That would be an extreme case whereby the person had a very great vision, but maybe the things of life had dwindled their desire to get there. You cannot have a vision and not have the desire to get there unless you had the desire to get there before the vision came. Then certain things happened that deflated whatever you had. And it happens. Loss of a loved one, loss of a partner, loss of anything at all can really deflate the kind of confidence that you had. But the vision is where you want to be, where you see yourself going, where you want to be. 5 years to come, 10 years to come, 20 years to come, that is the vision. Now, if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor in 5 years, in 7 years, in 10 years, you start going to school, you do science, you do, you go for the medical school. In doing that, you are building the capacity to be the medical doctor that you are set out to be. But you can't say that I want to be a medical doctor, but I don't want to go to medical school. You can still be a medical doctor not going to the medical school, only that they will call you quack.
Okay, now before you become a quack doctor, maybe a herbalist. All right, folks, on that note, we want to take a short break, and when we return, the discussion is going to continue. I believe you are being blessed by it. If you have any questions so far, you can put them on the platform as you are watching, and we're still encouraging you to invite as many people as you can. Tag them in the feed.